Welcome to the event formerly known as Civic. Okay, I'm Steve Hughes. Okay, whatever you want to call it. Okay. We're gonna goes over our town manager, welcoming remarks, and talk a little bit about the manager summary of recent events. Gary and Bill will talk, and we'll have questions from the audience. Following that, we will have our annual, end of which I expect to be the former, known as the former treasurer.
I think we're very fortunate. We have a great team. Specifically, all the other folks that are involved here in town, I think things are moving in the right direction. It's been a lot. I think the town employees have been doing an outstanding job. Everything from our lifeguards, our police, our dog ambassadors, our parking ambassadors, and really our maintenance folks since we had the storm keeping up with the dune crossings. But I'm really excited about the new town hall police. I think it shows our employees, it shows that we are dedicated to the town of Dewey Beach. I mean, it's long overdue that we have a new. The survey was done about a week ago. We did, and they're going to start putting together some initial plans on what the building could look like given the space that we'll be working in. The plan right now is to take the code enforcement building that's out on Route 1. That would be ripped down. And the new building would be put there, and then eventually the town hall that we have right now, police station, would end up being torn down, and we parking, and then probably EMS, and the police would have a sally port back there. Speaking of EMS, we're really fortunate to have hit pretty hard with some props, and got cut up. EMS was there within a couple minutes, and then our lifeguards were there right after. It's great having EMS here, part of Dewey Beach, and hopefully we can, incorporate them in our new town hall and police station area. 5G. So we're working hard with CTC. They're our wireless rep, and Jim Dedes and Dawn are ensuring that we are following the town code and the wireless standards that were passed by the commission. When I say that, Verizon has come to us and asked us to provide them waivers. We don't want to give them waivers. We want to make sure they follow the code. We want them to explain to us why they can't put them on Route 1, why they can't go, why they can't go on a visit before we just allow them where they want to. So that's kind of an update on that. Climate committee, it's been very active. A lot going on just in the last couple of weeks. I've been on at least 3 different Zoom calls with the and I think we're moving in the right direction on the base side. That's our goal and how we actually address. The beach mats and the dune crossings. We're doing the best. Don, our lead maintenance person, is down once a week. He usually goes down on Monday and Tuesday. The folks can get on and off the beach. Website. We have a new town website. Yeah, great. You can thank Kate for that. She's done a great job with our town website. And then town website. She's got a spot on there called Town Spotlight, correct, Kate? And one of the things we put on there is an icon for hurricane preparation, right? Make sure everybody's getting ready. Yeah, right here. It's it, right? Kate's bring it up. You click on this and it brings up information on what you should do in case there's a hurricane. There's the differences in the warnings and everything. And it just gives you somewhere to go. And it also gives you a link. And I talked about this at the last commissioners meeting. It gives you a link that you can actually sign up for the state emergency emails. So if we do have a hurricane and we do have a nor'easter, on the information they're putting out, it's right here, the Delaware Emergency Notification Sign-Up System. So, I mean, our website is really looking good, and the police's their website's also looking good. We're increasing trash. I put that out in our newsletter, and Ashley's been a big help on that town. Great. If anybody has any questions about that, please let me know. We're actually doing the accommodation in our part of the system. Then we came back and started following the rules. So we're looking at the other 50. Town attorney about that. So far we have 17 applications. And then from there, I've come up with a process of 3 panels. Each panel will be led by a police chief. And in each one of those panels will have folks. Four of the most qualified out of that pack. So there'll be a panel that'll interview them, a panel separate. That way nobody on one panel look at each one of the candidates, and there's not one person that can just run the whole meeting. But more of that as we go down, and I'll be briefing. Overall, I just think everything's going well. I know there are some things that we're working hard on. A couple things were brought up to me even today while we're working. So, but there are some things that we need to address. Commissioner Persinger and the mayor currently, and the rest of the commissioners, we have a great team, and I can't say enough about our employees. So with that, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay. I'll let all the commissioners introduce themselves now.
Sure. I'm Dave Jasinski. I live up on Chesapeake Street. For those of you who don't know, this is kind of like half a decade ago as well.
I'm Elizabeth Giddings, and I was elected in the non-election last year. I'd like to say I'm the only person ever elected with no votes, but then I was reminded I had to vote for myself in order to nominate myself. So yes, vote of one. I live down in the residences at the Hyatt.
Gary Persinger. I've been a commissioner since 2016 and about to start a 4th term. Looking forward to that. I live on Dickinson Street. We've had property in Dewey now for, it will soon be 40 years. On 17 or 18 years up on Chicago Street, and now the remainder of that down on Dickinson Street. So we're long-term, not residents, but long-term, visitors, and we stay for quite a while. We're back and forth quite a bit. So again, I'm looking forward to the next couple of years.
I'm Bill Stevens. I started coming to Dewey Beach back in started coming to Dewey Beach in 89 and 90 after I graduated college. And then I thought I'd be an adult and go back to Baltimore, and fortunate enough to come back in 2011. My wife and I actually purchased a home on McKinley back in 2017. And when COVID hit, it became our permanent house. So we sold our home in Baltimore and moved here. And so we're 2 of the 400, I believe, is the number that are here year round. And I'm looking forward to second season when we actually can drive out to the grocery store on a Monday or to Sunday, excuse me, or any other day. But feel very fortunate to have such as Bill said, it's a great time for Dewey Beach. We've got all the commissioners, all the committees are working on this, and the town employees. Got to say, especially, they're all great, but everywhere I look, I think John must have twins or triplets out there, because John is out there doing something every point in time. But looking forward to any questions or comments you guys might have.
Paul Bauer. Let's see, I was originally elected in 2017, back when we used to have elections in the old days around here. Had a house, or still have a house on Anchor Way. 20 years ago, we purchased that. So it's been a long time. I was a long time Civic League member. I think that's how I got dragged into all this stuff here. So, but yeah, no, things have been going great. Oh, it dragged into all this. It's been great. But no, it's Yeah, it's been a long time. It's great not to have elections here for a while. I think it's been been received well, and I'm not sure if that means no one else wants to do the job or we're doing a good job. One of the two answers there. So I'll choose mine.
It's the latter.
I think it's the latter too. But, that's enough about me.
Very would you care to make a few remarks?
Sure, very quickly. First of all, I appreciate the Civic League pulling this together today. Communication is always important, even to a small group. And hopefully we'll get a few people watching on the internet and listening to what we have to say today. I think over the time that I've been involved as a commissioner, I think we've made a great deal of progress. And I certainly won't claim sole responsibility for any of that progress, but I think I've contributed in a significant way to it. And I'll just mention a couple of things. I think the town is really sound financially. We talked about having a capital improvement budget for a number of years, and we just talked about it, and now we actually have one. And I think in terms of capital improvements, the town is actually in pretty good shape right now. They've made a major contribution to the cost of the new town hall that Bill mentioned earlier. And we still have some additional capital improvement funds available for some of the other things, some of the other equipment and vehicles that need to be replaced periodically over time. We also have dedicated funds for reserves. There are always challenges to revenues and to expenditures, and we've got a significant pot of money that's available to handle those challenges. And the auditors, we've worked very closely, I think, with the auditors over the last 2 or 3 years. We have in my view, a very good auditing company. They've been very cooperative wherever they've had recommendations or concerns that they've expressed to us. They've actually helped us work through some of those issues and actually respond. I think if you look at the latest audit report, you'll see that it really came out very clean, and we made a lot of progress on some of the recommendations that have been in the audit report for a number of years. We've actually been able to move forward on those. We've got some challenges for the future. Bill mentioned the major one, I think, that faces all of us, and that's infrastructure and climate change. Those are closely intertwined. We do have a new climate change committee, but hopefully, the infrastructure folks, I know they've been involved in this for quite some time, and we need to have a good interaction between those two because I think they are closely intertwined. Climate change it's not a solvable problem for Dewey Beach, but it's certainly one that can be addressed. And right now we have some funds for infrastructure, but if we come up with some recommendations that involve a very costly project, we'll have to come back and review our financial resources and see where we can go to handle some of those needs. We've got a good group of commissioners. They're all willing to agree or disagree as the issue dictates, but I think everybody's focused on coming to some sort of reasonable resolution that will allow us to move forward and continue some momentum. So again, I look forward to the next couple of years. Thanks.
Yeah, it's tough to follow Gary. It always is. But I'm glad to be
You can
following.
repeat
Gary.
everything I said. That's fine.
No, it's we are in a really good spot. And when I hear or when I talk to different people and we're walking down the beach and there's questions, I'm always willing to have engagement in conversation. And finances always come up. And because there's just a misconception in terms of really how we're doing. The work that the commissioners did and work that really Gary did in terms of general fund policy and making sure that we have the reserves in place. When we had the idea of rebuilding town hall, what that was going to be, what that was going to cost. We were able to actually, I hope everyone knows right now that we were able to get a $3 million grant from the state that's going to pay for most of the new town hall. It was positioned because Delaware, from a town hall perspective, Delaware can't look at Dewey Beach as an island. We serve the state, we serve multiple states, and they recognize that as part of the reason why they could come forth and give us the $3 million. But financially we've been secure, but we also recognize that some of that was an anomaly. If you look at the last few years, the transfer tax has been through the roof, and both values of the homes and the number of transactions. Hyatt Place contributed well over the last several years, but we might see a downfall in that. You talk to citizens and they say, well, how do you pay for everything? So most of it comes from parking. When you think with the transfer tax and the parking, we have some citizens who've even said, well, why don't we have a tax? And we don't talk about tax. It's just not going to happen. We put the hotel tax in a few years ago. that's working well for us in terms of that balance of funding. And one of the things that, the commissioners have always commented, well, let's not have fee income or income unless we know how it's going to be spent. As Gary put it, the climate change is a real issue. The Bay is going to be a real issue within a very short period of time. Predictions that the Inlands Bay had, and Bill, if you remember this, they expect it's going to rise 14 inches by 2050. So that's not that far off. And unless we do something, you're either going to lower the water or raise the land, and we're not going to be able to lower the water. So we've got our challenges, but they're challenges, but there's solutions out there. And as a committee and as a town, we'll work through them. While there hasn't been election this year, I hope that we do see more people come up. We just want to be part of the process and to participate. We had some trouble, for example, filling the budget and finance role. Had a few people come forth, and a gentleman that I met with is, and I'll bring him to the commission next month's meeting, is to step up. So kind of new blood, new people coming into the committees to revive doing. But thank you for inviting us here today.
Oh, wait, I had some real zingers for.
Yes, if I had one vote, it would be for Gary.
So next, you want to do a short.
Any questions?
Did you allow for questions there?
Sorry, I'm strained.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're waiting for another grant out of Senator Coon's office, about 1.8. It has to be used for the police station. But my hope is by next year. And I've already talked to Jim Dedes, and I've discussed what are we going to do with code enforcement, parking ambassadors during that time. And we know it's going to cost us to get some type of Conex boxes or trailers that they're going to have to operate in. But I'm hoping within 3 years. And our corridor here is scheduled from DelDOT between 2023 and 2028. And it's here all the way up to the end of the forgotten. That's going to be, because our sidewalks, especially on the east side of Route 1, with these telephone poles are right in the middle, there's some like the town will probably have like a committee, but the sidewalks, the telephone pole, they said there's going to be money there if we want to continue to south end and all the way to the north end. So, but it's spread out over about 5 years with the discussion starting in 2023, projects start in 2024, and then they need to be finished by 2027, 2028.
upcoming beach replenishment.
Yeah, so on the beach replenishment, the mayor and I attend. And the briefing we've gotten from Denrick, from Jesse Hayden, who's in charge of the dune, the Corps of there's only so many contractors to do replenishment. So everybody's trying to pull those contractors. So the Corps of Engineers are the ones that actually contract. So there's not a date on that yet, because they don't even have a contract. During the fall and the winter, and not during the summer or spring.
But we are scheduled with Fenwick and Bethany. So they'll be doing the three. They'll be moving. I'm sorry, we can do Fenwick, Bethany, and then move up to Dewey, Rehoboth. So we'll know when, as soon as we know, you guys will know. We'll report out. Do you have a question?
On this road we built, Years ago, I heard the rumor that because of climate change and the water rising. I know, they did right. Okay, they did raise it. Neighbors, because let's face it, you can't bypass Dewey, you get further south, you know. I mean. When you talk about this project between 23 and 20. Not just in Dewey, all the way up through Hope.
Yeah.
The lights are not timed well.
It's something we'll address, obviously, with DelDOT. I know, Bill, I'm sure all the commissioners, I get daily emails cursing me because of the pedestrian lights. But it's, those come in, the DelDOT put them in for public safety. I think even when we had if anyone knows, Governor Hogan from the state of Maryland came up to have crab cakes at Woody's with Governor Carney, and he was 40 minutes late. And he said it was because of the pedestrian lights here in Dewey Beach, which obviously was good. But no, it's a great point. We'll address that. I mean, it's frustrating. It's frustrating for anybody who's, at least from us, we stop here. I know from our neighbors in Bethany, and my opinion, and if you live going to Bethany, you have an alternative, right? You can cut down through 113 and get over there. So you're choosing to come through, but yeah. Like I said, I used to live in Baltimore, right? And it was 2.5 hours for me to get from Baltimore to here in Dewey. It's 2 hours to go over the Nassau Bridge. It was the 30 minutes from the Nassau Bridge all the way in. So it's, yeah.
Bruce working on it to see what, I don't know.
Well, we all know it's an issue, so it's definitely something we'll bring up with DelDOT as we go through their review. The great paper.
And it's also a balance between helping the cars get through town fast and keeping the pedestrians safe when they cross the street. I think the Dewey Wave, that's our sculpture in the middle. I think it has done a wonderful job because people are now concentrated at the crossings. We're still working to make those safe because the car in the second lane doesn't always stop when the car in the first lane stops. One of the really wonderful things about Dewey Beach is it's so visually stimulating, but that also gets in the way of people noticing the stoplights and the crosswalks. I have to say, I was thrilled to hear that we're going to get the poles out of the middle of the sidewalks.
Yeah.
That, ooh.
It's great.
Mhm. So I did hear the town manager say that we will have funds to expand it both north and south.
No, but I think what Diane's referring to, there's areas that have ropes and those poles are 22 inches apart.
Oh, okay.
And that specific stretch, for some reason, as DelDOT stretch, they're only like 8 or 9 inches. So no human being should be able to fit through them. But
There's spots where there's
Yeah.
county water plates, and the county asks that they not have ropes above them in case they have to get into the county plates. But I'll look and see if that's
Yeah.
what those are.
well, it's no matter what we do, we're going to have people who are trying to get through that. And I've actually seen a couple walk up what you're referring to, and it was.
We had people trying to jump on.
Yeah.
I figured it.
Yeah.
But it's less than what
Exactly
we used to
what it
have.
is. Whatever.
Aye.
It's the high.
Yeah.
I will pass the word along. Thank you.
And the music from the weddings is very nice.
Any other questions?
I just like.
Mayor Cook?
As a former official of the town and a former volunteer for the town, you guys do a great job. You know, we talked and yacked about a lot of things. The highway safety, the town, et cetera, and have decided to go with it, do it, whatever you're talking about, get something done, and you've done it, we really and continue to be part of that. Thank you very much.
I just have one correction to Dale's statement. That is, you are not a former volunteer.
Because the second you stepped down, you said, only if I can get on planning and zoning. We said, okay, that's fine. You get on planning and zoning. But no, honestly, I mean, every group of commissioners before us, I mean, they had tough times. I mean, I was talking to Bruce Ravel about, when the whole town was started. I mean, everyone has paved the way. We're fortunate to be in the seat that we are right now, financially, in terms of leadership with Bill, and from learning from what everyone else, you and Mayor Hanson have done. So we appreciate what you guys have really set forth for the path for us.
So I was telling the crew earlier, that people don't realize it. A lot of new people, it was all done by volunteers. Take that step and move on, become more professional.
And money to do.
So,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't minimize that. There's no question that the year that we had last year was extraordinary and provided us with a lot of funds that we could apply to some much needed uses.
great.
Yeah. State's been fantastic with us.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
So I.
Can I sit here or? Yeah, you're fine, okay. The league members who are. Call the meeting to order at 5:05, following a candidates forum event very similar to this one. As president, Steve Hughes as treasurer, and myself. But there were none.
Yes, I do. We have $800 in the bank. Our last letter went out in the spring. Fortunately, some genius said, let's put a donation line. But the donation line than on the dues line. So we sent around. Response rate, which if you do direct mail, that's a tremendous response rate. So that brought in approximately 6,000. So all the frustrated tourists will know what street and where they can go.
Where
Probably a good thing.
Yes, so we're holding off until the beach replenishes.
I would like to introduce the board members that are here. Volunteers, we will have two. Steve Hughes, Joe, never can say your last name. Go after her. Eleanor Tyler, Jen Taylor, and Bill, I think we might need to.
I usually attend your breakfast meetings on Friday.
Yeah.
Diane Dunaway.
Oh, we got a paradise.
You don't know what you're getting into.
Any old business?
Oh, at times. And I walked down. And I forgot the street, I walked all the way down. On the telephone pole, right across station this way.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think that might fall under new business.
Lions playground.
I'm sorry.
There's a playground at the Lions.
Yeah.
I'm concerned there's not enough people know about that.
Oh, I live on that street. Lots of people know about it.
Okay, all right. Not here.
If they specifically pay for the playground.
Good, right.
Yeah, but he's saying using it. So
So in October, I've talked to Denrick, and in the past, we weren't allowed on the dunes, but because the dunes are so big now and they're exceed the Corps of Engineers specs for the height and width, they're gonna allow 3 people that have been explained certain rules. I have to find out what those rules are from Denrick, and those 3 people will be able to go down from one end of the beach to the other. They don't have to do it all in one day with trash bags and pick up any trash that's on the dunes. I'm looking at doing that in October and then doing it again in April.
Now we could be looking for volunteers.
Yeah. Sent out in the newsletter,
Mhm.
and I'll be following up in September's newsletter.
Thank you. Remind me, I'll put it out to one.
Okay.
This monthly newsletter,
Just have to go to our town website and sign up for
I
it.
did years ago, but it's not coming. Oh, it's a nice one.
Yeah.
It goes to our home address or. I'll do it.
I've done a great job with the newsletter.
I'll put that in our newsletter too. Check out the new website.
We have a September meeting, so that we.
It's a.
Okay, give me a Friday. Let's do it,
People will be down for the beach party. That might be a good.
you don't want to do it tonight,
16.
right? I won't be here to. What do you mean the 30th? Will you be here the 30th?
I can arrange to do it.
Okay.
Yeah. No,